The breakfast that helped my joints was the one I avoided for years. Back in the 80s, they told us to cut fat, eat toast, and drink juice. So that's what I did for decades. Toast in the morning, maybe a little jam, and a glass of orange juice. Felt healthy, but my knees didn't agree. They ached getting out of bed, cracked when I stood too long, and stiffened if I sat still. One morning, I switched it up, eggs, half an avocado, black coffee. Just wanted something different. But by the third day I noticed it, I wasn't groaning when I got off the recliner. My joints felt smoother, like the Tin Man after oil. And all I'd changed was breakfast. No doctor ever told me blood sugar swings could mess with my joints. They talk about insulin, diabetes, carbs, but never the connection to pain. What I found through trial and error was that a steady morning meal with protein and fat kept my energy calm and my knees from locking up. I didn't need a new medication. I needed bacon and eggs, the old school kind. Funny how things come full circle. I thank God I listened to my body when it whispered, not just when it screamed. And if you're over 60, tired of hurting just getting dressed, maybe your breakfast is the best place to begin. If this sounds like you, give this video a like and hit subscribe. Your knees might thank you. Number 7, I swapped my morning toast for eggs and avocado. The smell of toast used to remind me of simpler days, hot coffee, a soft chair, and a newspaper on my lap. But after breakfast, my body didn't feel so simple. My hands would swell, knees stiffen, and I'd start the day already worn out. One morning out of bread, I made 2 fried eggs and slice of ripe avocado. Nothing fancy. By lunchtime, I noticed I hadn't grown getting out of my chair. It wasn't magic, just a quiet difference. The kind that makes you stop and think, what did I do different today? For decades, we were told to fear fat. Low-fat everything. Margarine instead of butter. Cereal instead of eggs. But that shift didn't do my joints any favors. What helped was stable blood sugar, and that came from real food, not toast and jam. Healthy fats from avocado. Protein from eggs. They gave me energy that didn't spike and crash. I read later that these foods slow glucose absorption, which might explain why my knees didn't swell up. It wasn't medicine. It was breakfast done right, like our grandparents used to make. Now, most mornings I crack 2 eggs into a cast iron skillet, just like my daddy used to. I add a little salt, sometimes spinach or peppers if I have them. The avocado goes on the side, smooth and buttery. No bread, no jelly, just good food. I sit by the window, sip my black coffee, and give thanks. It's a new routine that feels old in the best way. And I don't miss the toast, not one bit. What I do notice is that my hands feel looser, and my knees don't bark at me before 9 a.m. My daughter once asked, "Dad, how come you stopped eating toast?" I told her the truth. I started listening to my joints. When something works, your body tells you, not with words, but with relief. That's how I knew this was right. Since making the switch, I've been able to go longer between meals without feeling shaky or tired. And I don't dread standing up from the sofa. It's small, but for me it's freedom. All from a couple of eggs and an avocado. I thank God I was out of bread that morning. Sometimes it takes running out of something old to let something better in. If you've been starting your day with sugar in disguise, like toast, cereal, even fruit juice, maybe it's time to go back to what worked before the food labels got fancy. Your joints might not miss the bread either. Number 6, I walk 10 minutes after every meal. I used to think walking after eating was just something folks did at Sunday picnics. You eat, you sit, maybe unbutton your pants a bit, and nap. But one day I read that just a 10-minute walk after meal helps your body deal with sugar better. I figured it couldn't hurt. So after breakfast, I took a stroll around the yard. After lunch, I walked to the mailbox and back twice. After dinner, just around the block with my wife. It wasn't fast, it wasn't fancy. But after about a week, my knees felt less stiff, and the stairs didn't seem as cruel. There's something special about moving while your food's settling. Turns out, walking helps your muscles soak up the sugar in your blood, which means your body doesn't have to work so hard. I didn't understand the science back then. I just knew my legs didn't feel as heavy. That after-dinner fog started lifting, and I didn't feel like a bag of bricks in the morning. And the best part? My joint pain, especially my ankles and knees, eased up without a single pill. I didn't wear sneakers or track steps. Just walked. Sometimes I'd carry my Bible and read a psalm when I got to the oak tree down the street. Other times I'd count the squirrels. It wasn't about exercise, it was about rhythm. Something about moving right after a meal felt right. And I realized maybe the body was meant to move, not just sit, especially after eating. Even just 10 minutes makes a difference when you're over 60. My neighbor Earl saw me out walking one evening and hollered, "Doc, got you exercising now?" I laughed and said, "Nope, just trying to digest better." That became our little joke. But between you and me, I think Earl started doing it too. I notice he doesn't groan as loud getting out of his truck these days. Funny how simple habits catch on when folks see you feeling better. These days, I thank the Lord for those 10 minutes after every meal. It's not just helped my joints, it's helped my mood, my digestion, and even my sleep. Just a slow walk, some fresh air, and a little peace before the day rolls on. Who knew that the best medicine was waiting right outside my front door? Number 5. I gave up diet soda and went back to lemon water. I used to think I was making the smart choice with diet soda. 0 sugar, no calories. Sounded like a win. I'd drink one with lunch, maybe another in the afternoon. But something wasn't right. My belly felt bloated, and my fingers would get stiff like I'd been out in the cold. Then one day, after a particularly achy morning, I skipped the soda and squeezed half a lemon into a tall glass of water. Didn't expect much. But after a few days, the swelling started backing off. My hands didn't throb by bedtime, and I wasn't waddling out of the recliner anymore. Turns out, those artificial sweeteners can mess with your gut and confuse your insulin. I didn't know that at the time. I just knew my body felt better without them. The lemon water wasn't magic. It was clean, natural, and refreshing. And somehow, it helped me feel lighter inside. Even my digestion got better. No more afternoon bloat or those weird aches that used to sneak up after lunch. Sometimes, the simplest things are what your body's been asking for all along. Now I keep lemons on the counter like folks used to keep cookie jars. I slice one up in the morning, squeeze it into cold water, and sip it slowly with my meals. If I want something warmer, I make a lemon tea with a bit of ginger. My wife even started doing it. Said her rings fit better. It's become part of our day, like grace before dinner. No chemicals, no fizz, just something real. I never thought I'd miss soda less, but I truly don't. My niece once asked why I stopped drinking diet soda if it was 0 everything. I told her, it might be 0 sugar, but it ain't 0 effect. That stuff fooled me for years. But now that I've let it go, I feel clearer. Not just in my body, but in my mind too. Less fog, more calm. And I sleep better at night. No weird wake-ups at 2 a.m. with tight joints or a restless stomach. I thank God for that small change. Just water and lemon. No label, no barcode, no fake promises. It's amazing what happens when we go back to basics. The kind of things our grandparents did without thinking. Sometimes I wonder how long I was feeling bad without realizing it. All I know is I feel better now, and that's enough reason to keep that lemon water flowing. Number 4, I took apple cider vinegar before meals. The first time I drank apple cider vinegar, I nearly coughed it back up. It burned, smelled like old pickles, and I wondered why folks swore by it. But I was tired of feeling like my joints were rusted shut. So I started small, just a spoonful in a big glass of water before lunch and dinner. Within a week, I noticed something strange. I wasn't so stiff after eating. My shoulders, which usually ache by evening, felt more relaxed. It didn't fix everything overnight, but it made enough difference that I kept going. Later I learned that apple cider vinegar can slow how fast sugar hits your blood after meals. That's a big deal when your joints react to every spike like it's a fire alarm. For me, it felt like my body wasn't crashing so hard after food. I wasn't dragging, and I didn't get that swollen sort of feeling in my lower back by bedtime. Some folks think vinegar is just an old wives' tale, but I say some of those wives knew what they were talking about. I don't take it straight. That's for brave souls. I stir a tablespoon into a glass of water, sometimes with a slice of lemon or a drop of honey. I sip it slow while setting the table or saying grace. It's become a habit, one of those little things that makes a big difference. I've even kept a small bottle in the camper for when we travel. It doesn't taste great, but I don't mind anymore. I know how it helps me feel. One Sunday at church, I mentioned it to a friend with stiff hands like mine. She looked at me sideways and said, "You mean vinegar? Like salad dressing?" I smiled and said, "That's the one." She laughed but wrote it down. A month later, she told me her ankles weren't locking up as bad. Ain't that something? Sometimes the answer ain't in a bottle of pills, just a bottle of pantry vinegar. I'm grateful I gave it a shot. It's cheap, natural, and doesn't take more than 30 seconds to prepare. I always ask God for wisdom to care for this body I've been given, and sometimes that wisdom shows up in surprising places, like a spoonful of something sour that ends up making your day feel a little smoother. Number 3, I replace white rice with beans and lentils. Growing up in Georgia, rice was a staple at nearly every dinner. White, fluffy, and swimming in gravy. It was comfort food, but comfort turned into discomfort over the years. Swollen feet, stiff lower back, and waking up at night like I've been sleeping on rocks. Then I read about swapping white rice for beans or lentils. Figured I'd give it a try. At first, I missed the rice, but a week later, I noticed I hadn't woken up groaning in pain. That old pressure in my lower back, it just faded. Beans and lentils don't spike your sugar the way white rice does. They've got fiber and slow-digesting starch, which means your body gets steady energy instead of roller coasters. I didn't know the science then, just that my joints weren't barking as loud. After lunch, I usually need a nap and an ice pack. Now I just lean back with a book and feel like myself. Sometimes the swap you resist the most is the one that helps the most. My wife makes a simple pot of lentils with garlic and onion, just like her mama did. We'll have that with chicken, or even a little cornbread. I started to enjoy the heartiness of it, that earthy, rich flavor. I don't miss white rice now. Beans fill me up, but don't weigh me down. And I've noticed my pants fit better, too. Not from dieting, just from keeping my blood sugar from going wild. My cousin Billy laughed when I told him I was eating lentils. "Ain't that rabbit food?" he said. I told him, "Call what you want, my back don't hurt as much." A few weeks later, he asked my wife for her recipe. That's how change spreads in families. One person feels better, the next one gets curious. You don't have to preach. Just walk around without limping and folks notice. These days, I thank the Lord for giving me enough sense to try something new. I used to think rice was harmless, but I didn't know what it was doing to my sugar and my sleep. Now I choose foods that work with my body, not against it. And to think, it all started with a little bowl of beans. Number 2, I started sleeping earlier and deeper. For years, I stayed up late watching TV, old westerns of weather, maybe a game if it was on. I figured sleep was just something you squeeze in. But I started waking up sore like I'd been hit by a truck. My hands stiff, my back tight, and my mood, well, not great. Then I heard that better sleep helps your body manage sugar, and that sugar, in turn, can mess with inflammation. So I gave it a try. Went to bed by 9:30, no screens, no snacks. After a few nights, I felt a shift, not just in my energy, in my joints. Sleep ain't just rest. It's repair time, especially when you're over 60. That's when the body calms the inflammation and resets your blood sugar. But staying up late, especially after eating, keeps your system buzzing. I didn't know that before, but I sure felt the difference. After a week or two, my knees stopped locking up in the morning, and I wasn't waddling to the bathroom like a penguin. I felt clearer, and I didn't need to drag myself through that first cup of coffee. I woke up ready. We made a routine. Dim the lights after dinner. Read something light. Sometimes I'd pray quietly before turning in. I put my phone away, no more scrolling in bed. My wife noticed too. "You're not tossing as much." And I noticed she wasn't either. It became our new rhythm, like the house itself started sleeping better. I never thought changing bedtime would affect my pain, but it did. the stiffness, the morning fog, all started easing off. One night, my grandson asked why we go to bed so early. I told him, because I won't wake up feeling like a person, not a pile of bricks. He laughed, but it's true. When I sleep well, I move better, think clearer, even eat better. It's all connected. Poor sleep was pushing my sugar up, and that sugar was shouting through my joints. Once I broke that cycle, it was like someone oiled the hinges on this old body. I thank God for rest. Not just sleep, real rest. The kind that heals you from the inside. We chase pills, treatments, quick fixes. But sometimes the best thing for your pain is just getting to bed earlier, letting your body do what it was made to do. It's not lazy, it's wise. And it just might be the missing piece. Number 1, I ate fruit with fat or fiber, never alone. I used to grab a banana mid-morning or a few grapes after dinner. Seemed healthy enough, but about 30 minutes later, I'd crash. My hands would tingle, my legs felt weak, and sometimes I'd get irritable without knowing why. Then I read that fruit on its own can spike blood sugar, especially when we're older. I was shocked. Natural sugar? Really? So I started pairing fruit with something, a handful of nuts, a spoonful of peanut butter, or even plain yogurt. Within days, those energy dips stopped. And strangely, the tingling in my hands did too. What I didn't realize is that fat or fiber slows how fast fruit sugar hits your bloodstream. And that slower rise helps your body keep balance. I didn't change the fruit, just added something to it. Apple slices with a few walnuts. Banana with almond butter, even berries on top of cottage cheese. It wasn't a diet. It was a better way of doing what I was already doing. My joints stopped feeling like they were filled with gravel every afternoon, and my mood evened out. It was small, but steady. Now it's a habit. If I want something sweet, I make sure it has company. Fruit doesn't ride solo in this house anymore. And I enjoy it more now. It's a full snack, not just a sugar rush. I'll sit on the porch with an apple and a bit of cheese and feel good about it. No crash, no fog. Just something simple and satisfying. My wife even noticed that I'm less grumpy in the afternoons, and she's not wrong. I told my barber about it one day while we were talking about blood sugar. He said, "You mean you stopped eating fruit?" I said, "No, I just stopped letting it sneak up on me." That made him laugh. But I saw him the next week eating an apple with a little peanut butter. Folks catch on when they see something working. And they're right to, because sometimes it's not what you eat, but how you eat it. I'm grateful I didn't give up fruit altogether. It's God's candy, after all. I just had to learn how to enjoy it without setting off alarms in my joints. A little fiber, a little fat, and suddenly that fruit feels like a blessing again, not a burden. I never set out to fix my joints. I just wanted to stop feeling like I was dragging my body through each day. But what I found, almost by accident, was that my pain wasn't just age. It was blood sugar. And once I started paying attention to that, everything started moving easier. The little changes, what I ate, when I moved, how I slept, they added up, not overnight, not with fireworks, but with steady, quiet relief. The kind you don't even believe at first. It's funny how things work. We spend our younger years chasing convenience, and our later years wishing we could slow things down. But slowing down doesn't have to mean giving up. For me, it meant listening closer, taking smaller steps with bigger impact. My joints didn't need more pills, they needed stability. And that started with sugar, something nobody told me was part of the problem. I thank the Lord I had the time and the will to figure it out. If you're over 60 and tired of hurting just to tie your shoes, I want you to know it's not too late. You don't have to overhaul your life. Just start with one thing, one breakfast, one walk, one habit. These little changes help me feel younger in ways no cream or pill ever did. They gave me mornings without groans, evenings without swelling, and afternoons with enough energy to enjoy the quiet things again. Of course, I ain't a doctor. And I always say, before you try anything new with your food or routines, talk to someone who knows your history. But don't wait for perfect advice. Sometimes your body's been trying to tell you the truth for years. You just have to give it a chance to speak. I listened, and it changed everything. So take care of yourselves, friends. Let your body rest. Feed it real food. Give it grace for all it's carried you through. And don't be afraid to start small. Even mustard seeds grow into something strong. God bless y'all.